what I wanted to do today was just sort of take you through just a bit about the PIR survey process, and just what you can expect from both the survey itself and the PIR dashboard, which we provide for you as a way to sort of focus on the responses that you're getting and the current kind of status of your PIR campaigns, for those of you that are coordinating this. So I've just sort of split it into sort of 4 broad parts today. So I'll just give a kind of a reminder of what the PIR is and looking at your kind of level of knowledge. Some of you have quite a good level, and some of you maybe are just still getting used to the idea of what the PIR is about and particularly why we do this. So I'll just give a reminder there. Then I'll walk you through the process of the survey itself. So what it looks like, what your kind of fellow students can expect from it, and yourselves as well, who can also complete the survey. And a little bit about the results and how that works as well. And that will focus on the dashboard that you have. I'll touch a bit on the sort of campaign for responses, just based on some of the information and some of the sort of advice that we've received from other student coordinators and other schools from the previous editions that we've had. But we also will have a future workshop and webinar on that side of things as well. And we do quite a lot of try to sort of bring other students together who have some good advice that they can offer, who've done this in the past. And probably know more than Juliana and I, because they've actually done this in their own schools. And then finally, just a chance for you to ask us anything you like. And any time during the webinar as well, if you want to just put your questions in the chat, we can deal with them and answer them at the end as well. But I encourage you just to send those questions as soon as you have them, so you don't forget them, and we can pick them up at the end. Well, as Juliana, I think, said, we'll take a short break at some point during the presentation, just to a sort of bio break, because otherwise it maybe would be a bit long.
Not helping.
Okay, thought there was a question there, but it's not. So yeah, and let's get started. So the PIR itself, for those of you who are wondering maybe why your school's approached you or what the PIR is all about, very quickly, so the positive impact rating was developed as a tool for sort of moving away from the business school focus on traditional kind of rankings and research outputs and all the things that probably aren't really linking to the sustainability agenda, but are quite often been the focus of business schools in the past. While some of the sort of more traditional rankings have tried to move a little bit more towards the sustainability agenda now, they still rely on the school themselves, essentially giving them data, giving them information that meets certain criteria, which can result in some schools kind of gaming the system a bit and trying to look better than they are, and to a certain extent greenwashing. So the positive impact rating was developed by a group of concerned academics, professors from some very leading business schools globally, as well as NGOs such as Oxfam, WWF, and the UN Global Compact, who wanted to sort of come together to find a new way to measure the sort of impact in terms of sustainability of business schools. And they kind of thought, well, what better way to do this than to do this by capturing the voice of the students? Young people are the ones that are going to be the responsible leaders of the future in the business world to deal with all the climate issues that we have, as we've seen from COP26. And young people, obviously, as well, are the students themselves in the business schools who really see and know kind of on the ground how the business school is acting in terms of their sustainability. With the impact model for student assessment, as we'll come on to a bit more in the survey process and the dashboards, the PIR is actually developed across 3 areas, 7 dimensions and 20 questions, as we call it. So there's the energizing area, which is where we want the student opinions and the student voice on how the school is governing and how the school is developing a culture around sort of sustainability and sort of social and societal impact as perceived by you, the students. So in other words, is the school kind of walking the talk of the things that they say they want to do for society and for the planet. The second area is educating, And within that, there's dimensions that look at the role of the school in terms of the education it's providing the students. How is it teaching different models, maybe more relevant 21st century models? Is it giving you the practical skills to be sustainable future leaders? And is it allowing you the access to the right facts as well around your kind of future careers and future education paths as responsible leaders? And then thirdly is the engaging side of it. So we want to explore the business schools as kind of citizens of themselves in society. So how does the business school sort of relate and enact with the communities around them, both at a kind of local level as well as at a kind of more global level as well? And so there's questions and dimensions around this side of it too. So the PIR takes place, as you know, through a survey. So just to give you a bit of an idea of kind of what happens next as part of this. So obviously you're all here because your school's either registered or is looking very closely to register for the positive impact rating for this year. So for most of you already have access to your positive impact rating dashboard and surveys. So we are right now, we're in that November 21 phase of kind of training and workshops to help get you prepared for what you might have to do. For other schools that haven't registered yet, the registration closed in December. And then what we allow really is basically since October through to February is close to a kind of 4-month campaign where students in the schools can essentially choose how and when they want to really kind of campaign for responses from their fellow students, which we'll come on to a bit closer as part of the presentation later. But for all schools, the survey dashboard and all the surveys that are created individually for each school will close in early February. And then we basically take the results and analyze them for you. And then maybe around about spring, it depends on the time scale of the launch events that we're just looking at just now. But in spring 2022, then the results will be available to you as students and the staff of your schools. And you will get the chance then to use those results, maybe in collaboration with the staff in the schools to discuss changes, discuss things that could be improved upon. So how does the survey work? So really to make the process as easy as possible for you as students, the PIR team created what we call the PIR dashboard, and then an online survey, which was a sort of tailor-made tool that we developed with IT teams to run the survey. The idea being really is that your role is to simply get this out there to your fellow students and get as much responses, but also just as much awareness of the positive impact rating as possible. All the technical stuff is done by us. All the analysis in terms of the actual rating score is done by us. But so there's some elements of analysis that can be done by you, which we'll come on to. But generally speaking, we try to make this as light touch and as easy as possible for you as students. So as I mentioned, it's open from the 1st of October to the 1st of February in 2022. So depending on exam timetables, depending on the different sort of schedules in your own school, you can, as coordinators of the PIR in your own campuses, decide what's the best time for you to make an effective campaign. We have seen sort of different approaches from different schools over the past few editions. In some cases, the students choose to do a really focused campaign. So they take 1 or 2 weeks where at a right time where maybe the students aren't so distracted with exams or other initiatives, and really make an effort to have the kind of focused campaign. Perhaps that saves you time as well as coordinators. You pick those 2 weeks, you do a quick kind of focused sort of blast of this, and then that's you've got the responses that you need. Another option is a longer campaign. So you've got up until February. So it could just be that you continually remind your fellow students at different sort of strategic times that the survey is open, this is available, and use that longer period to try to maximize the number of results. Or it could be a mixed model. It could be where you have smaller focused campaigns over a longer period of time. So there's different ways to approach this, and this is deliberate that we gave you this longer amount of time to decide when you do this and how you do this, because it may be different for different schools. You will have a link to the survey. So each school gets an individual tailored survey with the name of your school and all the different information that you need. So this is where you can then share the survey with your fellow students. I'll show you what the survey looks like in a few slides. And this link should be on your PIR dashboard, which I'll also show you. And then in terms of responses, we have a minimum number. Broadly speaking, it's 50 undergraduate and 50 master's students. This also depends on the type of school, so there is flexibility. This is a more kind of generic minimum target that we set for all schools, but obviously some schools are postgraduate only. Schools vary in size. You do get some very small business schools. So if you are concerned about the target and this maybe isn't so relevant for your school, just let us know, and we can then assess that, and on your dashboard we can actually change your target that you see. Also on your dashboard, you can monitor responses throughout the whole process, so you can see in real time how many responses you're getting and what those targets actually mean in relation to the number of responses that you're getting. So we'll start by showing you the survey, and then we'll go into the dashboard. So when you open up the survey link, this is what you see. So the students that complete the survey will get an introduction to the positive impact rating itself. So you can see here it says actually test school, but this would be the name of your school, will be on your own survey link. And then you can see then the sort of information. It says here it takes about 5 minutes. We thought it took longer, but actually on reflection from a number of different schools and students, we actually realized that it takes a bit shorter. It does depend on the number of sort of the amount of thought and the amount of time the student takes for the open questions of the stop, start, and continue part of it. But for those 20 sort of questions on the scale, actually, what we realized actually is it's a reasonably short survey. So actually, you're not asking too much of your fellow students in terms of time there. So they just a couple of pledges and agreements in terms of the positive impact rating, and then the student's ready to go. So we asked the name of the student study program. So this helps when it comes to the analysis stage, that both yourselves as students may be analysing this, and the school themselves get to see and maybe cross-reference some of those scores and some of those comments to individual programs. So this helps for changing and improving some of the work and some of the teaching that might be happening for those programs. And also is interesting for other kind of wider comments on the school sustainability. The school might want to know which students are more engaged in sustainability in general, and can do that from some of this data. It will ask the origin of the student. So are they from the same country as the school, or are they an international student? Again, this is all kind of demographic data, which would be useful in the analysis phase. It also asks the level of study, so undergraduate or bachelor, sorry, undergraduate or master, sorry. And how many years of study at the school. So it's quite relevant information. Obviously, a year one student compared to maybe a year 3 or 4 student might not have such a deep knowledge of the school's sort of inner workings and governance and those types of things. But on the other hand, they come into maybe with fresh eyes, fresh perspectives. So it's very interesting to see the sort of some of the differences in the levels based on these different variables, which you'll be able to also kind of play around with yourselves on the dashboard. They also ask the age. So just again, more demographic data about the age of the student completing the survey. And then gender as well. So 3 options there for gender. Then it moves on to the 3 areas I talked about. So the first part is this energizing area. So the kind of the governance and the culture of the school. So I won't go into every single question, but I'll just sort of give you an overview of how it looks. So the student gets a kind of little bit of context of why this sort of series of questions are being asked in this part, and then goes into the actual questions themselves. So you'll see, just as an example, question 1 is about the school's vision and mission, including sustainability and societal engagement. So really just our first question about, does the school have a vision for sustainability and societal engagement? And I guess, do the students actually know about this? So this is quite important as well. So, and every single question within the PIR in terms of the rating side of it is a 1 to 10 scale, from I disagree to completely agree. Also, if there's a question where you're really not sure, or the student's not sure about the positive impact rating, or sorry, what the survey is asking in terms of the impact rating, then you can also click on the I am not sure. There's also, if any student's asking, maybe they're not quite sure about certain things, there's also, if you click on the information button, there's also definitions of key terms which are used, which might be useful for some students as well who are maybe not so engaged in sustainability. At the end, so that's just one question of part 1. There's another series of questions that we'll go through that will be part of that, just to give you a sense. And then at the end of each part, there is additional feedback. So if students have any comments at the time, then they're welcome to use this space to do so. Then in part 2, there's the educating current and future leaders. So this is all about the programs, learning methods, and other sort of parts of the education side of the student experience. So again, similar format, in a bit of context, and then goes into those questions. And again, very similar. It's a statement that the student disagrees or agrees with. In this case, the school fully integrates ethics, responsibility, and sustainability into the study program. So again, the students able to rate the school on their kind of ethics and responsibility side of the teaching. There's, again, series of questions relating to the education part, which will be included in the survey. And then at the end, same format, part 2, the additional feedback element, which is part of that too. Then part 3 is about this school as a role model, and the school as a kind of sort of, I guess, kind of corporate citizen of their community, and how much they play that kind of role model role in society. This also relates to the you as students as well, in terms of how the school is kind of preparing you to go into those societies. So some of the questions are also about that. So you'll see here the school's graduates are well prepared to deal with sustainability challenges in their jobs. And then again, the scale allows you to agree or disagree with that statement. And the same thing, part 3 also has the feedback element there as well. Now, I mentioned there's also 3 open questions at the end. So these don't actually go towards the rating. So those questions and those areas that I just showed go towards how the school is rated in the positive impact rating sort of externally. Then there's these 3 questions, which are more for internal reflection. So these are open questions, as you see here, about what the school should stop doing, what the school should continue doing, and what the school should start doing. And these are built more for the school and the students, and you as coordinating students to reflect on how the school could improve, what the school is already doing well. And this has been used in different schools by student associations to present to their faculty on sustainability issues that with a lot of evidence then that you can get from the rating. You can use this as launch pads for maybe some other student initiatives around sustainability. We've seen students in certain schools undertake curriculum reviews. for sustainability based on the evidence that's been taken from their survey of the need for that. We've seen students now have places on the school board of around sustainability topics because there's been a call for it through these open questions. And then there can also be more kind of infrastructure-based changes as well, and switching to more organic food in the canteens, maybe reducing single-use plastics on campus. All the different sort of things that have come up in the positive impact rating it just gives you that evidence base that if you have a large percentage of your fellow students are all asking for similar things, then the school has to listen. So this is where the value of these questions can come in. We're also able to take these in a sort of more general scale when we do the analysis of all the results. This also shows us kind of on a global scale what the current thinking and the current trends of business school students might be in terms of what kind of teachings do they want, what kind of expectations do they have of their business school in other ways. And we've seen topics from, as well as the models of education that they're being taught. We've also seen a lot of trends where students want more practical experiences in real world sustainable businesses. They want more guest lectures from real life sustainable entrepreneurs and sustainable business leaders that are doing this in the real world. More societal engagement through different initiatives. Lots of different calls for things that we've seen as a real trend, not just in certain regions, but across the whole world. So it's also very interesting for us to get a good evidence base of change needed in business schools. Then just finishing up, then we also, the survey itself is something that you found interesting as students and liked. So we get some good feedback on that. And this is something that we're also continually working on, and we're looking at the model for the positive impact rating in the future to try to keep that as relevant as possible too. So it's great to get any feedback from students on the survey itself. And then that's it. And then and the students themselves then just get a bit of a context about how these results are used and what happens next as well in terms of why they've completed this survey and what can happen next from that.